Are you seriously single in a big city and you are losing your mind and you don't know what you're doing or what to do about it? I have got the tips to help you survive. Let's dig in. Welcome to the show. I am your host, Georgiana, and this is the space where we talk about life lessons learned from K-dramas, Nollywood movies, and Black films. And today's life lesson is coming to you from the movie Seriously Single. It is a 2020 movie, and I believe it's on Netflix only. The general synopsis states, while her free-willing best friend urges her to embrace singlehood, a social media expert craving commitment can't stop following the life of a former lover. Of former love, sorry. And the general synopsis sums it all up. It follows the character of Dino and Noni, both people approaching the single life very differently. Noni is constantly like out there, embracing the single life, like there's no tomorrow. And Dino is more of a like serial monogamist and but in the end she does discover that she was more in love with the idea of not being lonely as opposed to like truly finding herself and finding love that really, really appreciates her, really wants to make her better. And so it's a funny movie and it just has a lot of do's and don'ts when you are single. It is set in South Africa, I believe. And so it is a big city and everyone's looking for love and all of that. But the life lesson I got from it is essentially how to embrace singlehood, right? If you're in a big city, in wherever you are, just to embrace singlehood as in general, until you meet the person that is right for you. And so the first thing is seeking God's purpose for your life, right? Like, what does God want you to do with your life, right? I've said this in some of my videos where I believe that we are seeds that are sown into this earth and we all have a purpose. Just like when you sow a seed for to grow tomato, right? It's gonna grow tomato, or you're gonna get tomato at the end. So God has sown us in this earth for a purpose. And we all need to figure what that is. Everyone, it doesn't have to be fame, or you don't have to be famous, or I want my name to be known. There's so many ways that God has called us for a purpose. Whether it's in your family's life to be this person that's always praying for them, or the person they go to for, emotional consultation, comfort and all of that. Like, there's so many reasons why God has here us on this earth, and it's all to do with furthering his kingdom. So it is important to know that. And so then you can then work on that purpose, right? While you're waiting on your person, you know? And then the second one is volunteering. Volunteering is like super important to me. Giving back is super important because like, I believe we are not just here for ourselves. We are here for one another, right? And the world may look like this place where there's so much evil, but there's still so much good. We have to look for it. We have to find it. We have to make sure that it carries on. And so volunteering is a great way to give back. And it's also a great way to meet people, right? And I'm not saying that you do it for that, but just because you have an interest, whether it's feeding the homeless, whether it's assisting the elderly, whatever it is that you are passionate about, but just to give back to our world and just looking up from your world, right? I think it's very, very important, right? To give back. And that's also part of living your best life, volunteering, whatever that looks like in whatever shape. And then thirdly, be intentional about everything and everyone in your life, including yourself, right? I felt like the character Dina was not intentional about herself. She was just, like she said in the end, just obsessed with not being lonely and just having someone in her life, right? And I know she felt the pressure from her mother, which we all do. We feel the pressure from our parents. But you've got to really know who you are. Like, get to know yourself. Be intentional about taking care of yourself. Be intentional about what you're eating, about how you're dressing, about, your friends, your family. Like, literally be intentional. Like, show up. Even your work, be intentional about your work. It's so important to be intentional because when you do meet that person that is for you, you are definitely going to be intentional about dating that person once you're married, getting to know them more, and rediscovering who they are every day, because then you lose the ability or the condition or the learned way of taking people for granted. I'm not saying that you'd be perfect at it all the time, but because you've been intentional about everything about everything in your life and about yourself, then you can be intentional about your marriage and be able to build a kingdom marriage that is fulfilling for you and your partner. Okay? And then link with communities you have shared interests in. Find out those people, because I don't know why you're in a maybe you're in a new city and all of that. Maybe you're just newly single in a new city and you want to make new friends, and it's important to get to surround yourself in communities that have shared interests. And it's whether it's a shared hobby, whatever it might be, shared views, like whatever that is, find those communities and link up with them. And last, don't be obsessive. My goodness, this girl was obsessed. She spent one night with the guy she met at a parking lot, right? And then she takes his key, right? That's stalking to me, right? And to me, if it was a guy in this movie, we would say it was stalking. We'd be like, you need to get a restraining order on this guy, right? It was stalking. And she was proudly doing this, like just becoming obsessed. She had just gotten out of a relationship, and she think, this guy I've just met in the parking lot is the one. No, he's not the one. And it turned out that he was actually getting married to another woman while he was seeing her. But it was just because she just came on so full on. I'm not excusing his behavior, but it's like she could have alleviated that hurt if she had just stopped being so stalkerish and just not be obsessive and just accept the state of her life currently and accept that this is only for a moment. I don't have to do all this crazy stuff. Don't get obsessive about wanting to be in a relationship. Don't get obsessive about not wanting to be lonely. When you do all these things, seeking God, volunteering, being intentional, linking with communities that you have shared interests in, you're gonna be fine. You're not even gonna have time to think I'm lonely. I've always believed when we live our lives, love finds us. It does. And I think we're just, I was thinking about this. I saw, I guess she did a TikTok 10K with the for a dating coach. And I guess she needed it because she had to unlearn traits or, behaviors that she had learned that were toxic and were attracting toxic men to her. But I'm like, 10K. But she had it, right? Sis had it. I'm happy she had it. That's great that she had it. And now she has a fiance, right? And it's just, we're in this place where we're going to do so many things to find love, but she had to work on herself, and she said using the dating coach helped her work on herself. I don't know if I had 10K, if I would actually use it on that. I don't know. I do want love, I would seek a therapist to definitely help me unlearn traits and, behaviors that do not serve me and that attract toxic men and all of that. But anyways, whatever works for you works for you. But if you guys are single and you're in your single season, you're going to be okay. It's only for a season and you will come out of this, and it's not something bad, but while you're in it, these are my top 5 things that you should do to help you as you get through it. Okay? All right, guys, that is it for this episode. If you have not seen Seriously Single, go ahead and check it out. But a disclaimer, there are foul languages, explicit languages, and nudity, I believe. And so if you are sensitive to such things, please do not do not watch this movie. But it is hilarious, and it is a good story on how to handle your single season while you're in it. All right, guys, if you like this video, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Share it with someone that you think it might help. But until next time, what is it? You know what time it is. Take care of yourself. Be kind to yourself and be kind to others. Bye, y'all.